The series begins with Sarang, a beautiful and ambitious girl, heading to apply for a job at a famous hotel. The manager asks her assistant how she applied when she doesn't even have a degree. The assistant apologizes for the mistake, and his shoe heel breaks when she kicks him. But Sarang walks in confidently. When the manager finds out that one of Sarang's hobbies is playing piano, she asks her to play. But there's no piano, so Sarang plays the air instead, charming everyone with her beautiful smile. That night, her roommate Sadi mocks her, saying she's going to apply for a job without even a university degree and insists she'll never get hired. They spend the whole night awake, and the next morning, Sarang gets a call informing her she got the job. She's so thrilled she can hardly believe it, and goes to celebrate with her friends who spent the night with her. Elsewhere, Wango is parachuting from a plane onto the roof of a hotel to get to work, but he lands on the wrong building and ends up late on his first day. An older employee starts explaining the company rules to him and is puzzled. How can a regular employee wear such expensive clothes and a luxury watch that even the boss doesn't wear? He's sure it's all fake and thinks Wango must be autistic or delusional. Wango starts his first day not knowing anything. His coworker Sang advises him to arrive early from now on and not be late again. The older employee asks Wango and Sang to print out some papers, but the printer runs out of ink. When the employee tells them what to do next, the printer breaks entirely. Their direct supervisor walks in, blames Sang, and says that both he and Wango will be fired. This will be their last day. Wango talks to the general manager's secretary and asks him to call a cleaning service. The secretary shows up quickly and checks on Wango. Wango tells him he really wanted to keep working with them, but unfortunately, he's been fired. Everyone is shocked when they discover that Wango is actually the owner's son. Wango then tells Sang that he'll hire him directly to be his personal assistant, and Sang agrees immediately. Wango's father scolds him, saying he wanted him to study, not get fired on the very first day. Wango's sister calmly tells their father that Wango still has a lot to learn and that it's better for him to study abroad. As Wango leaves, Ran tells him to stay away from the company and the house. They belong to her. She says she'll support him financially, revealing her true intention to inherit everything from her brother. Wango goes to stay at their hotel. The next day is Sarang's first day at work. She's thrilled because she visited the hotel as a child with her mother. The hotel manager gathers the new trainees and introduces them to the work environment, stressing that the most important thing is smiling in front of guests. As Sarang begins her job, a senior employee mocks her, saying her beauty means nothing here, and she won't last more than a month because the work is tough. Later, Sarang is asked why she's always smiling. They ask if she works in the gym cleaning sweat. They point out the receptionist, someone she'll probably never even see. Meanwhile, Sang starts working with Wango and sees him shopping from stores that come to him directly. Wango chooses the items himself, and the salesperson tells him that only 3 of this item were ever made, and 1 was already sold. Wango buys the remaining 2 pieces, not because he wants them, but to make sure no one else copies his style. He tells Sang to prepare because they'll be flying to America soon. As Sang heads out, Sarang's manager sees him and starts acting sweet, now realizing that he's with Wango, the boss's son. Somewhere else, a rich and sleazy man sees Sarang, likes her, and sends her a letter with money through another employee, saying inappropriate things. The messenger describes him as the guy wearing a shirt with a tiger on the back. Sarang storms out, furious. Meanwhile, Wango is training, wearing that exact tiger shirt. She finds him, pushes him off the machine, humiliates him, and throws the money in his face before storming off. Wango is left confused. Just then, his sister Hara shows up and scolds him for raising his voice in their hotel. She says he should be kicked out. Later, Hara interviews Sarang and is impressed by her fluent answers. She requests that Sarang be assigned to the front desk. The hotel manager is surprised, as Sarang was only recently hired. Hera explains that Sarang has a beautiful smile and a pretty face, perfect for the hotel's image. Even though the manager is annoyed, Sarang answers the questions in multiple languages as if she had rehearsed them. She tells them she's been preparing for this day for a long time. Years pass, and Sarang becomes the ideal employee, even training newcomers on how to deal with guests. Wango studies abroad, earns a master's degree, and finally decides it's time to return to Korea. His father warmly welcomes him back, but his sister Hera is furious about him rejoining the business. When she asks why he came back, he says he just wants to relax and will take over his father's work, becoming the one in charge of the hotel. His father agrees and tells him to come live at home before their mother's death anniversary, but Wango replies coldly, saying he has no mother. He never even knew her. His father gets angry at the comment. The next day, Wango visits the hotel with Sang, now his best friend. There he sees Sarang and instantly remembers how she embarrassed him before, even though he'd done nothing. She remembers too and says her reaction was based on what she thought he said, and she won't apologize. As she walks away, Wango beats her to the elevator and tells her, "Customers first, then employees." Sarang mutters to herself, "You're as annoying as your mom." Elsewhere, Sang is talking to Sarang's manager, asking her out. She agrees immediately, still thinking Sang is someone important. During a welcome party, Sarang's manager is shocked to meet the real Wango. Sarang is confused too, seeing the sleazy guy there. Wango tries to introduce himself but struggles under the judgmental looks and fake laughs that he despises. Sarang is told to present him with flowers. She hides her face, but he recognizes her and says, "Looks like we'll be seeing a lot of each other." He later talks to her and brings up the incident. She starts explaining, and he tells her it's fine. Anyone wearing a tiger shirt must be Wango, right? He teases her, saying, "You're cute, but not my type." Sarang apologizes and forces a smile. Wango warns her never to smile that fake smile again or she'll be fired, but the hotel manager scolds him when she realizes he's not actually Wango. Embarrassed, Sang tells Sarang she'll attend a private party for hotel owners and close friends. Sarang is stunned by the luxury of the place and the amazing food. Wango's father thanks everyone for supporting his son, and Sarang keeps clapping nervously, not knowing what's going on. When Wango's father learns she's just an employee, he asks her to give a speech. Afterward, Wango gives his speech and tells everyone he'll turn the hotel into a place free of fake smiles. Sarang is given a gift, the most expensive part of a tuna fish. Later, no one pays attention to her, so she calls her grandma, but her grandma says she's busy. Suddenly, the bus brakes hard, and she discovers that the most valuable part of the fish was actually its head. Sarang and her friends don't know what to do with it until their crazy third friend shows up, handles the fish, and they all enjoy the best meal of their lives. The next day, a famous actress checks into the hotel and asks for a bigger room for free in exchange for promoting the hotel. Sarang refuses, saying hotel rules don't allow it. When the actress starts yelling, Sarang responds coldly and with disrespect. Just then, Wango arrives and tells Sarang that she's been working in the hotel for 7 years, but still doesn't know how to deal with guests like that. He calls security to kick the actress out. Wango then asks Sarang to come to his office and questions her. "Why didn't you stand up to the actress? Or are you only bold when it comes to yelling at me?" Sarang calmly replies, "She's a customer, and the customer is always right. Those are the hotel rules." Wango surprises her by saying he chose her to appear with him in a TV interview as part of the hotel's marketing campaign. She'll be the host. Sarang gets annoyed, asking, "There's no one else in this whole hotel? I'm not a toy, and I've got work." But Wango insists she be the one. Later that night, her boyfriend walks her home until her feet are sore. Then he climbs up and locks a love padlock on a fence as a sign of their love. But Sarang notices that Wango throws the key away right after, and she takes that as a sign. Then the key falls. She takes that as another strange sign. She attends a reunion party with her friends, but finds her boyfriend sitting and laughing with other girls, leaving her alone and upset, so she storms off. The next day, she's at the airport with Wango to fly out for the interview. When he sees her, he freezes. A bag accidentally hits someone in the head, and Wango immediately scolds Sarang, saying, "You can't even manage your bag?" Sarang gets annoyed and tells him, "I work for you at the hotel, but here we're equals." Wango quickly hands money to the angry man before he causes a scene. The man, seeing the cash, says, "Want me to carry your bag, sir?" They exit the airport where a luxury car is waiting for Wango. He gets in and tells the others to take a taxi. They begin preparing for the TV interview. Sarang appears in her best look, while Wango dresses elegantly and styles his hair. As the show begins, Sarang reads the questions. She asks him, "People say you resemble your mother. Is that true?" Wango hears the question, gets up angrily, and walks off, unable to breathe. It's as if he's sick. Sarang tries to calm the situation and keeps talking to cover the awkward moment. Eventually, Wango returns and reads the remaining questions. Most of them are about his mother. He throws away the paper and tells her, "Ask me questions you personally want to know the answers to." She replies, "I love sunsets." He says, "Come watch the sunset, and you'll know what to ask." They sit and watch the sunset together. Sarang tells him she didn't do anything wrong to him, but every time she ends up in trouble because of him. "You're the owner's son, so nothing happens to you. But I could get fired," she says. Wango looks at her and says, "Do you understand how dangerous that question was today?" The next day, they're at a photo shoot. The photographer tells Wango to smile, but Wango's face stays stiff in every shot. Sarang mocks him for not knowing how to smile, which frustrates him until he finally forces a fake grin. The photographer says he'll just edit it in Photoshop. They head out to shoot more photos on a boat in the middle of the sea. Wango catches a small fish to prove that all hotel seafood is fresh, but suddenly he tosses it overboard. On their way back, the boat breaks down. The driver says they can't finish the journey and docks at a small island for repairs. He takes them to a nearby guest house. On the way there, Wango is terrified, walking nervously behind the group until Sarang teases him. He rushes ahead, only to faint after seeing an old woman. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a strange place filled with statues and panics again, until he finds Sarang and feels reassured. The old woman teases him, saying, "There's nothing to be scared of. Your girlfriend dragged you all the way here." He snaps back, "We're not together." Then the two of them start drinking together to see who can handle more. They lose focus from the alcohol. Sarang tells him, "You're so annoying. It's like I work for you or something." He responds, "You ruin everything you touch with that fake smile of yours." She shoots back, "You arrogant, self-centered jerk." They both vent everything bottled inside. Eventually, they go to sleep, each in their own room. But when they wake up, they realize the two rooms are actually just one big room with a thin divider. Later, an old man gives Wango a bicycle and tells him there's time to tour the island with his wife. Wango asks Sarang to come with him. At first, she refuses, but when she finds out the distance is long, she agrees. They tour the island together and have fun. When they return, the old woman hits them with a huge bill. Wango only has a credit card. The boatman turns out to be her son, and Sarang realizes it was all a scam. Even the boat breaking down was staged. Sarang negotiates the price down to half and pays the rest herself. Wango is impressed by how she handled it. On the way back, she apologizes for the interview question, saying she didn't know anything, but when she looked in his eyes, she saw that it hurt him deeply. Wango thanks her for her kind feelings. When they return, Wango's father is furious that he walked out of the interview over a question about his mother. Wango tells him, "What matters isn't the action, it's the outcome. I just want to know the truth about what happened to her." But his father doesn't answer and walks away. Wango later tells Hara, "You'd better not provoke me again. You told me I'm a temporary figure here. A few more moves and I'll be gone. We'll see." Sarang returns to work, and everyone is happy to have her back. Wango's father personally visits her and says he watched the interview. He was impressed by her poise and intelligence. He decides to promote her to head the Moments of Joy department, a prestigious new role. At that moment, Wango is looking at photos of Sarang and gets lost in her beauty. Sang interrupts him, reminding him about work. Wango smiles, then returns to admiring Sarang's pictures. He even takes an online quiz to see if he's emotionally compatible with the person he's thinking about. The result confirms he's positive about Sarang. He decides to visit her and parks outside her building, waiting to speak with her in private. But just then, her ex-boyfriend shows up to make up with her, and it annoys both Wango and us as viewers. Wango is shocked and heartbroken. He turns and leaves, crushed. Sarang's ex apologizes and admits he was wrong. Sarang says they should go somewhere quiet to talk, but he refuses, saying he has an important event with his friends and no time. Sarang snaps, insults him, and storms off. Meanwhile, Wango is consumed with jealousy and pain. He throws away the gift he'd prepared for Sarang. Just then, a policeman walks up and gives him a ticket, saying, "That gift was for your girl, right? You're heartbroken too, huh? Someone else is in her life now." Wango and the officer start chatting and vent to each other like old friends. Sarang is heartbroken and visits her grandmother. Her grandmother tells her she wants to see her happy. Sarang says now isn't the time. She broke up with her boyfriend. Grandma says, "As long as you keep surrounding yourself with these loser friends, you'll never succeed in life." She adds, "It's good you left him. He's the real loser." Meanwhile, Wango's father meets with a business rival who owns a big hotel. The rival is thrilled that their hotel's revenue has now surpassed King Hotel. This fires up Wango's father. He gathers his children and tells them the hotel's revenue must return to what it used to be. He wants them to work hard, prove themselves, and support each other. He adds that he'll give the entire inheritance to the one who shows they deserve it most and contributes the most to the company. Soon after, a new manager arrives to take Sarang to her new position in the Moments of Joy department. She shows her around and warmly explains the rules and responsibilities. Sarang will now be dealing with the hotel's richest guests. The fee the guests pay can be as high as that of other hotel clients. Sarang and her friends go to greet Wango since she's officially a new employee, but Wango treats her with complete coldness. When Sang sees that, he asks Wango, "Why are you acting like this toward her? You look like you're into her. Your behavior is childish." Wango gets angry and embarrassed, denying that he likes her at all. That makes Sang realize he was just joking, but now he's suspicious Wango might actually have feelings for her. Sarang starts meeting her new colleagues, but many of them are irritated and jealous. They heard she joined through recommendations and got hired quickly while they worked hard to get there. Hara begins inspecting every corner of the hotel, trying to prove herself to her father and acting bossy toward anyone who doesn't impress her. Sang updates Wango on everything. Wango asks to personally meet the employees of the Moments of Joy department to avoid running into Hara. He personally escorts Sarang to the meeting, as if she's the only one there. After the meeting, he keeps thinking about her all night. He texts her too, but Sarang doesn't notice the message. The next day, Wango goes to her workplace and tells her he messaged her last night and wants to talk to her after work. She asks, "What do you want to ask now?" He says, "I want to take you out for dinner," to return the gesture from the island. Sarang refuses. Wango tries to convince her again, but she still says no. Frustrated, Wango tells Sang to invite Sarang to a business dinner so she'll come. Wango goes to the dinner, and to his surprise, Sarang is there, but also many other employees. It turns out Sang misunderstood and invited the entire team. Wango is forced to sit through it. Everyone starts eating, but he notices the women haven't touched their food, so he orders something special for Sarang. Embarrassed, she asks to speak with him outside. She tells him, "Your excessive kindness is putting me in awkward situations." He says he just wants to help. She replies, "You're from a rich family. You don't understand how people feel. Please treat me like any other employee, as if you don't know me." Later, Wango asks Sang, "Do I really look like a rich guy who doesn't understand others' feelings?" Sang says, "Absolutely. But it takes courage to admit that." Then Sang tells Wango it's Sarang's birthday. That night, as Sarang leaves work, her ex-boyfriend is waiting for her, trying to win her back. But she tells him she no longer loves him and doesn't want to see him again. She walks off, crying. Wango spots her and asks, "Are you the type who cries after every guy you meet?" She ignores him. As she walks away, Wango insists on giving her a ride. She resists, but he insists, and she falls asleep from exhaustion. When she wakes up, Wango gives her new clothes to wear since hers got wet. He says he wants to take her out for her birthday. She puts on the outfit and finds that it matches Wango's exactly. Someone comes over to take a photo thinking they're a couple. Sarang says, "We're just friends," and thanks him for the clothes. She asks, "How did you know my size? Even the shoes fit perfectly." Wango lies, saying he picked them randomly, but the truth is he carefully learned her size and chose matching outfits. They have lunch together. Sarang tries to pay, but Wango insists, "It's your birthday, my treat." He even drops her off at home and gives her a gift. But suddenly her ex-boyfriend appears again and accuses her of leaving him for someone else. She tells him, "If you don't leave me alone right now, I'll call the police." Wango steps in. "What's wrong with you? You think love is by force? You're way too annoying." He grabs the guy's arm and warns him, "Come near her again, and I'll teach you a lesson." He checks on Sarang, saying, "If he ever bothers you again, tell me. I protect my employees." The next day, Sarang is with her friends. One friend sees her new outfit and starts questioning her. "Your boss gave you all this expensive stuff? Girl, men don't spend money like that for nothing. He must really like you. You're lucky, he's rich. Let him fall for you, idiot." Meanwhile, Wango is staring at a picture of him and Sarang from the restaurant. Sang walks in, so Wango quickly hides the photo, but Sang sees it anyway, takes it and laughs. "You're even dressed the same. You're crazy about her, huh?" Wango punches him and kicks him out. Sarang calls Wango and asks if he's free. She wants to see him. Wango says, "I'm busy," but then adds, "I'll make time for you." That evening, they meet and she gives him a gift to return the favor for her birthday. She starts to leave, but he tells her, "I made time just for you. And I'm hungry. Let's eat." She takes him to a small local diner she likes. They wait in line to get in. Wango tries sugarcane juice and is amazed. This tastes incredible. He's fascinated by the chef's movements and how he serves the food. Meanwhile, at the hotel's Moments of Joy department, the old employees start giving Sarang the hardest tasks while they keep the easy ones. They assign her to deliver a gift to a client who lives up in the mountains. He supplies rare flowers to the hotel. When Wango hears about it by coincidence, he's shocked and deeply worried for her. Sarang arrives, but only the client's wife is home. Sarang refuses to hand over the gift. She says it must be delivered to the man himself. At that moment, the man is out in the mountains picking flowers. Sarang prepares herself and heads into the mountain to find him, but the weather suddenly turns bad and the conditions become dangerous. Wango calls to check on her and tells her to return and leave the gift, but she doesn't respond. She falls from a height, gets injured, loses consciousness, and stops answering her phone. Wango senses something's wrong. He tells Sang, "Sarang's in danger. I have to save her." He demands a helicopter immediately. Sang tells him the weather is too bad for flying, and Hara controls all flight approvals. Wango barges into a company meeting and begs Hara to allow the helicopter, but she refuses. He doesn't give up. He launches the helicopter anyway, on his own responsibility. Sang tries to stop him, even saying, "If you don't listen, I'll lie down in front of the chopper." Wango replies, "Then lie down quickly. I don't have time." Wango reaches the dangerous mountain area. The helicopter drops him off and turns back. Sarang sees him and can't believe her eyes. She starts crying, saying, "I really thought I'd never make it back." She asks him, "How will we get out of here?" Wango admits he came with no plan. He just wanted to save her. He's already contacted a rescue team and they'll arrive in the morning. They wait together, scared, until someone appears in the darkness. They scream in fear, but it turns out to be the mountain man who saved them. He says he heard there was a missing girl in the area. The man laughs at Wango. "You're a man, and you're this scared?" Wango says they'll head to the hospital in the morning to make sure Sarang is okay, but she insists she needs to get back to work. He tells her, "Don't ever risk your life for work again." He promises he won't let anyone else face danger for work in the future. The next morning, Sarang tries to convince the flower supplier to continue working with the hotel. He refuses until she gives him one of his rare flowers as a gift. Touched by her kindness, he doesn't take the gift, but agrees to resume business with the hotel soon. They head back. Sang drives, Wango sits in the back, and he asks Sarang to sit with him. But she chooses to sit in the front. Sang keeps joking with Sarang, which annoys Wango. They stop for a bathroom break. Wango tells Sang and Sarang to go ahead and drives Sarang to her grandmother's place instead. Sarang gives her grandmother the rare flower and helps her run her small restaurant. Her grandmother notices Wango watching Sarang from afar and learns he's Sarang's colleague. She tells him to come help them work. She teaches him how to peel onions, but he ends up ruining the whole batch. Later, Sarang returns and sees the mess. She laughs, apologizes to him, and takes him on a tour through the local market. Wango loved the street food he tried and felt really happy. After that, he took Sarang's grandmother home and brought her a bouquet of flowers. She laughed and said, "You brought flowers? You should have brought something edible, son. We're tired." Later, Grandma gave Sarang some time off to help at her restaurant, and Wango was thrilled by how delicious the food was. As they left, he even took extra food with him. Grandma handed him money for helping her peel onions, and she gave some to Sarang too, asking her to take care of herself and that polite young man who was with her. Wango took Sarang home and asked her out on a proper date. She immediately agreed. The next day, there was a party at the hotel for the daughter of a major businessman. Wango entered the event with Sang and a big gift. The girl was thrilled to see him and jokingly asked, "So when are we getting married?" But Wango pulled away. When he turned around, he saw Sarang carrying the gift. She looked upset. She quietly walked away, clearly bothered. Later, she asked Sang why Wango had invited her out if he was already close to another girl. She went home feeling sad and down. Her friends tried to cheer her up by throwing a wild, silly party just for the three of them. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. It was Wango. He met Sarang's friends, and she introduced him as her colleague from the hotel. One of her friends joked, "God help you. We heard your boss is arrogant and rude." But Sarang quickly defended him. No, he's actually really kind." Wango asked to speak to her privately and told her he was worried about her. She seemed unwell, so he brought her all kinds of medicine since he didn't know exactly what was wrong. She looked at him and asked, "Who was hugging you at the party?" He reassured her, "Just a friend. There's nothing between us." She snapped, "Then why was she hugging you? You think hugging is for anyone?" He said, "You're right. I'll be more careful from now on. I didn't mean to upset you. You're jealous, aren't you?" The next day, Hera documented Sarang's mountain rescue story and asked her to join a press conference. Hera tried to take all the credit for the rescue, saying the hotel saved her. But Sarang insisted on thanking Wango personally in her speech, stating that he was the one who came to save her. Wango was there, hearing everything, clearly annoyed with Hera. Later, Wango's father informed him that an important Arab prince would be visiting Korea and needed a luxury hotel. Hosting him would be a great honor. Wango told Hera he could convince the prince to stay at their hotel. The next day, Wango's father met with the owner of a rival hotel. That man proudly said the prince had chosen their hotel, but suddenly got a call informing him that the prince canceled his booking and switched to Wango's hotel instead. It turned out Wango had personally reached out to the prince and promised to be his private assistant during his entire stay. On the day of arrival, everyone was waiting for the prince. Wango drove him, and Sarang acted as his guide during his visit. At the end of the stay, the prince was so pleased with their service that he promised to visit again soon. Later, Sarang's friend found herself in trouble. She had to meet her sales target. She asked Sarang to help her sell products, so they went to a spa, offering snacks and beauty items to older women. Meanwhile, conflict was rising between Wango and Hara. Wango was becoming more committed to the hotel, trying to please his father, which annoyed Hara. She told him, "No matter what you do, you'll always be beneath me." He calmly replied, "I don't care about your mind games. I just want to protect the hotel and its employees from you." She said, "People who care too much about others lose themselves. You'll never be as strong as someone who fights only for themselves." Wango later asked around to find where Sarang was and went straight to see her. Sarang's friends offered him some boiled eggs, and he kept eating. Sarang teased him, "Did you come to see me or just to eat? Watch out, this might flip your personality." Later, Sarang's friends pulled Wango aside and asked, "Do you like her? Then why haven't you told her yet?" He replied, "Do I really have to say it? Isn't it obvious?" They encouraged him to speak before someone else does. Wango then told Sang to arrange a weekend outing. He planned to tell Sarang how he felt. They went to a beautiful restaurant with no one else around. Wango personally cooked the food and watched her as she ate. When she asked, "So, what's the important thing you wanted to tell me?" He stood up, took her outside, and finally said it. "I like you, I love you, and I want you by my side, always." The next day at work, they got into the elevator together, laughing non-stop. Sang noticed them and was suspicious. They never laughed like that before. Wango spent the entire day around Sarang's workplace. Eventually, she snapped at him, "The staff can't even do their jobs with you hovering around." After a lot of nagging, he finally agreed to leave. Later, Wango went to his father and, in front of Hara, declared, "I'm ready. Let me be responsible for the hotel. I can handle everything you need." Hara was visibly annoyed. Sometime after, Sarang went to Wango to apologize, but he was still hurt from her yelling earlier and didn't forgive her right away. She felt bad and said, "You're mad because I made you mad. Now forgive me." Elsewhere, Hara's assistant warned her, "Wango's biggest strength is his father. No matter how much he fails, his dad will always support him." Hera smirked and said, "Good, I've got a big surprise planned for him." The next day, Wango took flowers to visit Sarang's grandmother, but suddenly, Grandma collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. Wango panicked, but the grandmother calmed him, saying it was nothing. Still, he insisted on running full medical tests, which revealed some health issues. She looked at him warmly and said, "You like Sarang, don't you? It's written all over your face." Just then, Sarang arrived, crying and worried. Her grandmother reassured her and scolded Wango, "I told you not to tell her." They returned home, and later that evening Wango apologized to Sarang. He admitted, "I want to see you all the time, but sometimes I feel like you don't feel the same." Sarang also apologized for yelling at him in public and promised to treat him better. He reminded her, "The first time I told you I loved you, you never answered." She smiled and said, "I feel the same. I love you too." They stayed over at Grandma's place that night, but in separate rooms, because they were respectful. The next day, Grandma took Wango with her on errands. First, he sat with her elderly friends. Each of them chatted with him and asked all kinds of questions. They all bragged about their granddaughter's fiancés, only to find out Wango had no formal relationship with Sarang yet. Grandma then asked him questions about Sarang. "What's her favorite food?" Wango hesitated. "I'm not sure yet." She laughed and said, "Oh, sweetie, that's the first thing couples talk about on WhatsApp." Later, Grandma went to the bank and opened a savings account in both Wango and Sarang's names. She deposited a small amount and told Wango, "From now on, you and Sarang will save in this account together for your future home and marriage." Wango was deeply touched by her warmth and her faith in him. On the way home, he asked Grandma, "What's her favorite color? Her favorite dish?" Later, Sarang's friends came over. Wango ended up staying with them. The girls were very upset. They'd worked so hard but hadn't received their bonuses. Other employees were chosen instead for a company trip just because their manager preferred them. Wango was furious. "How can this be allowed? There has to be fairness. I'll personally look into this." Sarang's friends wished Wango was the manager, but Sarang warned them, "Don't get your hopes up. He's selfish and doesn't care about anyone." Her friends replied, "No way, he's totally different now." The next day, Wango ordered Sang to arrange a reward trip for the best employees. He gave the names of Sarang's friends and included Sarang too. The girls were thrilled. They finally got what they deserved. They all met at the airport. Wango was waiting, ready to travel with them. To their surprise, Sang was coming too, and even teased Wango by calling him boss. Wango quickly corrected him in front of Sarang's friends. "Everyone, Sang is actually the head of the department. He's in charge of the whole trip." Sang stepped up and pretended to act important. This was his big moment. They boarded the plane. Sang sat next to Sarang until Wango came over and said, "Sang, you're the manager. You belong in the VIP seat." He sent him to the front and sat beside Sarang himself. When she asked, "Why'd you leave the comfy seat?" he smiled. "For your eyes, I'd leave everything." They arrived at the resort. The three girls shared a room. Wango and Sang had their own. The trip began. The whole team enjoyed every moment. They made the trip's slogan, "Enjoy to the max." Wango secretly texted Sarang, asking her to sneak out for some alone time, but they couldn't. The friends followed them everywhere. The couple tried their best to act normal around others, hiding their relationship, but the feelings kept growing. At night, they pretended to be asleep until everyone else dozed off. Then they slipped away for their first private moment of the trip. Sarang looked at him and said, "This has been the best trip ever. I'm so happy." Wango told Sarang that they would go on another trip soon, but next time, just the two of them. He promised her that he would fill the rest of her life with happiness and joy. The next morning, they woke up early and went out to take pictures together everywhere. At one point, Wango grabbed her hand and started running excitedly. People stared at them, surprised. But suddenly, Wango looked back and realized he was actually holding Sang's hand and running with him instead. Embarrassed, he returned and asked Sarang, "What did I look like running through the street holding a man's hand?" They laughed it off, ate lunch together, and were later joined by one of Wango's friends, the one who had traded watches with him. Sarang noticed that the guy seemed to have a crush on Wango. They all took group photos together. Sang offered the guy a place to sleep that night, and the guy agreed, saying he wouldn't bother anyone and could even sleep on the floor. Wango didn't like it, but couldn't do anything about it. Later, Sarang's friends pulled her aside and said, "Girl, your guy is clearly head over heels for you. He even let someone else sleep on the floor just to be near you." The next day, Sarang and Wango woke up early again and managed to sneak away from their friends. They spent the whole day together, exploring every place they could. Sarang stopped in front of a shrine and made a wish. When Wango asked her what she wished for, she said, "I used to be afraid to wish for things in case they didn't come true. But right now, this is the happiest I've ever been." Wango got serious. He said, "My life isn't as perfect as it seems. When I was little, my mom left me. I don't know why. No one ever gave me answers. I still wonder, did she have her reasons? Or did she just leave me because she wanted to? Sarang comforted him and thanked him for being part of her life. She then asked, "Why didn't you make a wish too?" He looked at her and said, "You being with me, that's the best wish I could ever ask for." The next day marked the end of the trip. Wango told everyone he had one last surprise for the team. He had booked them all on the return flight, no buses, no hassle. The trip ended and everyone returned to their jobs. Sarang brought back souvenirs for her manager and colleagues, thanking them for their support while she was away. Wango showed up at her workplace again, sitting beside her while she worked. She looked at him and said, "This isn't a place to do your work?" He replied, "I've got so much work I barely get to see you, so I figured if I sit near you, I can work and see you at the same time." They agreed to meet up after work. Wango began preparing for a grand celebration marking the 100th anniversary of the hotel's founding. Hara informed him that many important people would be delivering speeches. Wango replied, "This is my responsibility. I'll handle everything properly." He visited the chefs to check the food quality, offered feedback, and then walked to the hotel entrance where he sat with a longtime employee to check in on his health and learn more about the people who'd worked at the hotel for years. Everyone was busy preparing for the big event. Wango admired the level of organization and teamwork. Later, he surprised Sarang from behind and she hit him instinctively. He joked, "Wow, you're strong." She laughed, "Want a real challenge?" They made up quickly, but then they noticed some hotel employees heading toward them, so they panicked and jumped onto a bus to hide. Turns out, the bus also belonged to the hotel and was packed with more staff. Sarang quickly pretended she was a tour guide and told Wango, "This is a hotel training course. That's the driver. Let's get off before it's too late." They laughed about their close call. Then Sarang suggested Wango ask the hotel's doorman about his mother. He might know something. Wango admitted he'd thought about it, but he couldn't bring himself to ask. The next day, Wango visited Sarang's grandmother, bringing loads of gifts of all kinds. Grandma was impressed by his manners and how often he asked about her. She told him to stay close to Sarang. She had a rough childhood after her mother died. Wango promised he'd always be there for Sarang and thanked Grandma for raising such a kind, beautiful person. Meanwhile, Sarang went to ask the hotel's doorman about a woman who used to work there. He didn't know anything, but suggested she ask a retired employee who might. Sarang rushed to her, but the woman was upset that Sarang entered without knocking and kicked her out before she could say a word. The next day was the big 100-year celebration. Everyone was nervous, including Sang, but Wango remained calm and confident. He began the event by thanking all employees for their hard work and dedication. Then he invited his father to speak. His father welcomed the guests warmly. It was time for the guest of honor to speak. Hara had arranged for a well-known official to give the speech, but the shock came when Wango introduced someone completely different, a modest older man. The man stood and introduced himself as the son of a former hotel staff member. His father had once worked as an assistant to Wango's grandfather. He'd grown up inside the hotel, watching it be built, and always dreamed of one day being welcomed as a guest. And now, here he was, standing on stage, honored by Wango himself. "I never imagined I'd be treated like someone important in the capital," he said emotionally. After the speech, Wango's father personally welcomed him, saying he had searched for him and his family for years and that they would always be welcome at the hotel, free of charge. Wango then invited the hotel's doorman and the oldest maintenance worker on stage. He announced that these people were the real hidden heroes behind the hotel's success, and they deserved to be honored. The official Hara invited was furious. He scolded her, "You made a huge mistake, and I won't stay silent about it." The event ended. Wango's father was proud and nostalgic, remembering the old days, but Hara interrupted, fuming. She pulled him aside and yelled, "You can't let Wango do whatever he wants. This hotel isn't just yours to run into the ground." Afterward, Wango and Sarang had planned to hang out. They went to her house, cooked together, and had a wonderful, happy time. That same evening, Sarang's friends returned home and found them together. They were convinced that something was going on and staged a mock trial. They asked, "What's your relationship? Why are you hiding it? We're worried. We don't even know who this guy really is." Wango calmly introduced himself by his real name, revealing that he was the hotel's director and heir to the company. Her friends laughed at first, thinking he was joking, until Sarang confirmed it. Their attitudes changed completely. They apologized and began treating him with full respect. But Wango said, "Please, treat me like a normal guy. I'm your friend too." After he left, Sarang's friends asked her, "What do you even like about him?" She replied, "He's the kind of man I always dreamed of. He's always by my side and truly cares about me." The next day, Hara gathered the staff and tried to rally everyone to her side. In a big meeting, she proposed cutting employee numbers and canceling bonuses. Wango immediately rejected the idea, but when he looked around the room, everyone was standing with Hara. His father gave both of them a deadline: "You'd better come up with the best solution, and fast." Later, Hara met with the angry official to try to fix the mistake she'd made at the celebration. The meeting was tense. Unfortunately, the official redirected all his anger towards Sarang. Hara told Sarang's manager to fire her, but just as things got tense, Wango stepped in and said, "No one's getting fired. These people are employees, not paper you throw away." He put Hara in her place, showing her what real leadership means. The vice president, angry at the scene, stormed out. Hara scolded Wango, "You lost us, the vice president, for your employee?" Wango answered firmly, "She's not just an employee, and I'll protect my team as long as I'm in charge." Hara snapped, "We'll see what she really is soon enough." Wango turned to Sarang's manager and told her, "Your priority is to respect your staff's rights." Sarang was shaken, but her co-worker told her that it wasn't her fault. The vice president was just looking for someone to blame. From that day on, the entire team started getting closer to Sarang, realizing how kind and hardworking she really was. After the team dispersed and everyone left for the day, Wango showed up to give Sarang a ride home. Meanwhile, Hara was sitting with Sang, trying to convince him to work with her and feed her insider info about Wango. Sang asked her, "And what's in it for me?" The next day, Sarang returned to the retired employee to ask more about Wango's mother. The woman revealed that she was a close friend of Wango's mom. "She was beautiful and brave," she said. Sarang asked her to meet with Wango. He came, surprised and excited that for once she was the one who requested to see him. They sat by the sea. Sarang showed him an old photo of his mother, something he had never seen before. She said, "I got it from that retired employee. You have to find your mother. You still have time to be with her before you regret it." Wango stared at the photo and broke down in tears. The next day, Sarang was assigned a new job, working in the private residence of Wango's father for a special executive program. It was a high-level role, meant only for the top employees. Sarang was overwhelmed. She didn't even know the rules. A woman on site tried to guide her through the process. Suddenly, Sarang walked in and was shocked to see Wango sitting with Yuri, the birthday girl from before. She overheard Wango's father saying, "We should agree on the wedding date for Yuri and Wango." Sarang was devastated. She dropped a tray of dishes. Wango rushed to help her, asking if she was okay, but the manager scolded her in front of everyone. Later, Wango told Yuri, "I've already rejected this marriage. I love someone else." Yuri coldly replied, "You can love whoever you want, but in the end, we're getting married." Sarang walked up to the second floor and found a little boy alone. She played around with him. She later learned he was Hara's son, a quiet, withdrawn child. At the end of the day, Sarang discovered that she had earned more in one day than her entire monthly salary. That night, Wango stood outside Sarang's house, trying to call her or get her attention, but she didn't respond. A police officer approached, and Wango explained his situation until the officer started feeling bad for him. Later, he drove to Sarang's new workplace. The chef joked, "What's wrong with you, kid? Did she ignore you or what? Honestly, you made me feel bad for you." Sarang appeared and sat silently. Wango told her, "What you heard? I'd never do that. I love you. You're allowed to do anything except leave me or break up with me." She replied, "I never thought of leaving you, but I know my father is going to be a huge obstacle for us." Meanwhile, Hara was finalizing her decision to fire employees. At a company-wide meeting, Wango shocked everyone by announcing, "We're going to make profits like we never dreamed of. We're opening branches across most countries in the world." Wango's father's eyes lit up. He immediately approved the proposal and promoted Wango to be in charge of everything in the hotel. Hara was furious. She swore to her assistant that she wouldn't let this go. Later, Wango visited the retired employee again. She told him she had been waiting for him. She revealed deep secrets. And Wango's reaction was strange. He seemed broken. He called Sarang and asked to see her. He was feeling down. They spent the night together, comforting one another, but someone secretly took photos of them. The next day, the news broke. A scandalous affair involving Wango, the hotel heir. Wango's father used money to try to stop the story from spreading, but Hera had already beaten him to it. She paid even more to blow up the story. Employees began gossiping. Luckily, the leaked photo didn't show Sarang's face clearly. Still, one employee said, "The figure looks familiar, but no way that's Wango's girlfriend. She's way too simple." Sarang started panicking, but Wango reassured her and apologized for putting her in this awkward situation. Sang barged in and said, "You two have really gotten us into a mess." He added, "I bet Hara is behind this. She tried to recruit me once." Sang told them about how Hara wanted to turn him against Wango. He refused and told her, "I'll never betray him." Wango thanked him, then kicked him out of the room jokingly. That night, another photo leaked, and this time Sarang's face was visible. Hara watched from afar, smiling proudly at her victory. Sarang's friends kept her away from phones and social media. They didn't want her to see the photo or read the comments. The next day at work, everyone stared at Sarang, whispering about how she had caught the hotel director. Her manager asked, "How did you trap him? What did you do?" Just then, Wango appeared and said loudly, "I'm the one who chased her. I fell in love with her." He added, "If anyone has questions, I'm ready to answer them all." He told Sarang to walk confidently. She's the director's girlfriend after all. Then he turned to the others and said, "Let her rest. She's clearly stressed from the drama." He assured everyone, "There's no scandal here. We're two people who love each other, and that's it." He told the team to treat Sarang with kindness and protect her. Everyone was happy for them. Meanwhile, Hara was in a room with senior staff. They were discussing a proposal to promote Wango officially. Wango's father walked in and told Hara, "I know what you've been thinking. I know you created that scandal. I never thought you'd stoop so low, especially toward your own brother." He ordered her to resign from any position she held in the hotel. Later, Wango and Sarang visited Grandma to check on her. Her elderly friends were excited to see Wango after years of mocking the grandma for her granddaughter's love life. Now they were taking photos with him. The next day, Wango's father invited Sarang to lunch and personally served her food. Then he told her, "I want you to take some time off. Think seriously about breaking up with Wango. You two don't belong together. Stay away from the hotel for now." Sarang sat alone, thinking hard about what to do. That evening, Wango showed up and told her, "I want to spend this night with you. I'll be away for work for 3 weeks." They spent the night together, talking, smiling, sharing texts while apart. Later, Sarang arrived at her new job. To her surprise, she met the same employee who greeted her on her very first day at the hotel. The employee said, "This place is for the rejected, the misfits." Sarang accepted her new role, realizing she had no choice. She did what she always did best. She smiled. Meanwhile, Wango returned from his trip, wanting to surprise Sarang. He went to her new workplace but was shocked to learn she no longer worked there. She'd been transferred to another branch. As he stood there, clearly hurt and confused, she appeared. Wango's long-lost mother. She met Wango's father and said, "I can't bear to see our son's life destroyed like ours was." Wango's mother admitted that she knew how to get rid of Sarang, just like Wango's father had once gotten rid of her. He had kidnapped their son, threatened her, and said their child would be in danger if she didn't disappear from their lives. She blamed Wango's father for never fighting for her or helping her, for letting her go without holding on. But now she was back, swearing that if anyone dared harm her son's life again, she would burn everything down. As she left, the long-awaited encounter finally happened. She came face to face with Wango. He was shocked. He recognized her immediately. They sat down together and she told him everything about why she ran away. He said, "I know everything now. I never hated you." His mother apologized for everything. Wango told her, "I wish you a happy life," then walked away crying, but came back and hugged her tightly, saying, "You don't know how much I missed you." The next day, Sarang learned that the hotel branch she had been exiled to was about to shut down. They would all lose their jobs. She suggested a plan to the manager to save the branch, but he dismissed her harshly. Right then, Wango arrived, saw her, and asked how her days had been while he was away. He apologized for leaving her and said, "Let's get out of here," but she replied, "I still have work." So Wango stayed and helped her finish her tasks. Sarang told him, "I really love this place. I've explored it. I've connected with it. I want to stay one more week to help my co-workers because once this place is sold, they'll all be unemployed. Wango stayed with her for that entire week, exploring the town and spending quality time together. During dinner, he met the branch manager and learned that Hara was the one who ordered the sale of the hotel. Wango told the manager, "I'm buying it. I'll renovate it and turn it into a tourist attraction." Then he fired the branch manager. One of the staff members clearly wanted Sarang to stay longer. Wango secretly worked with that employee to give Sarang a reason to stay. Eventually, Sarang agreed to return with him. Later, Sarang's friends and Sang showed up at the small hotel to visit her, but found she had already left with Wango. During the transfer of hotel ownership to Wango, he met with Hera again. She said sarcastically, "You think this means you've won? No, sweetheart, it's just beginning. No one takes anything from me, not like this." Wango went out and bought an expensive ring. He tied it onto the necklace string they shared and prepared a surprise proposal. He met with Sarang, waiting for the perfect moment to propose. But just before he could speak, she surprised him instead. She said, "I want to end this relationship." Wango was shocked. "Relationship? What do you mean?" She laughed and said, "I mean, my relationship with working in hotels. I want to start my own business." Wango smiled, realizing she'd played a trick on him. He decided this wasn't the right moment to propose after all. Sang encouraged her, "Whatever you choose, I support you." The next day, Sarang visited Wango's father, invited him to lunch, and informed him of her decision. She thanked him for everything and said goodbye to her co-workers, who were sad to see her leave. As she packed her things and walked out of the hotel, a car pulled up. Wango stepped out. He said, "I wish you happiness in your new work." Wango, now officially managing everything, continued improving the business every day. He didn't forget his best friend either. He promoted Sang, giving him the title of Executive Director. Sang joked, "I wish I'd accepted Hera's offer instead." As always, Wango kicked him out playfully. Meanwhile, Sarang searched for a small house to turn into a hotel. After lots of searching, she finally found it. She celebrated with her friends. When her grandmother found out, she opened a drawer, took out all the money she had secretly saved, and handed it to Sarang to support her new journey. Sarang began renovating the house by herself, turning it into a beautiful space. Back at Wango's family, Hera's son had returned to America. Wango learned that the child had been forced to leave again. He confronted Hara, telling her, "Maybe it's time you stop obsessing over control and start seeing the people who love you before they're gone." At the airport, while sending off her son, Hara heard his words echo in her mind. Something shifted in her. She took her son's hand and went back home. Sarang finished preparing her little hotel. On the opening day, no one showed up. After all, the hotel was just one room. But late that night, Wango appeared. He was her first guest. They sat together and talked the whole night. The next morning, he helped her with hotel tasks. Every night, he'd show up with a new excuse, just checking something. Eventually, Sarang told him, "You're not resting at all. I'm hiring staff. Maybe you should apply." Several people came to interview for the position. Wango applied too. He said, "I need money. I'm barely surviving as chairman of a luxury hotel chain. Please hire me. I must be near you. Always." Then, without delay, he added, "Will you marry me?" Sarang replied, "You could have asked from episode 1. They went to her grandmother's house, had lunch with her, and received her blessing. At the wedding, Wango's entire family came together. Even Hara, she had become a new version of herself. Wango smiled and said, "Let's have a cappuccino together after the wedding." The bride and groom entered the dark hall and lit it up with their joy. And that's it, I truly hope, from the bottom of my heart, that you live your own love story in real life. May you meet the hero or heroine of your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe. I love you all so much. Thanks for watching.